Hi everyone, welcome back. This is Marisa.
And I'm Nicole.
Welcome to Hightails with the Lit Sisters. And as a reminder for those of you that are coming back, and as an intro for those of you that are just joining us, which you shouldn't be because we are in the middle of a book, but
you're really late.
Yes. This is a podcast where two sisters, myself and my older sister Nicole,
Why'd you have to say older?
I just really enjoy pointing that out. So this podcast is a funny commentary on fantasy books, romance books. We're probably going to dive into some historical fiction, but right now we're in fantasy romance.
We're deep into fantasy.
Yes. This podcast, I would say, is a drunk history, but instead it's a because we're smoking weed, review, but review very loosely review.
High review. I like that, actually.
Okay. So, what did we talk about last time, Nicole, as we start our cannabis month?
All right. So this is, what are we on? This is our second episode for A Court of Mist and Fury. And where we left off is when Tamlin really showed his bitch card.
Yes.
Like, really, we were a little annoyed with him under the mountain, and then we're like back in the spring court, and I think we're all making some excuses for him still, but we're getting really annoyed, and then he locks Feyre in the house.
Yes.
And I wanted to jump through the book and punch him in the face.
Yes. It went from, wow, he needs to work on his emotional intelligence, to that bitch needs to go to jail.
Yeah.
So, Tamlin is non grata.
Yeah. He's on my shit list. You're on my list.
We look at the rest of this book, so this next section of the book, we are going all the way to the summer court. If you're reading along with us, you'll know when to stop. But what was your reaction to this whole next part of the book?
I feel like this is when we start heist after heist after heist after heist. It's like almost like Rhysand has his little thief group, and we're going to go here and steal some knowledge. We're going to go here and steal something else, and we're going to go here because we got to get this thing to then go here and connect it to this thing. Like, it's just heist after heist after heist.
It's action-packed.
Right.
This
with a little love story blooming slowly.
Irritatingly.
Please move at a glacial pace, you know.
So I will say this part of the book definitely needed to happen because it built a lot of context. You learn new characters. You really get to know people and get connected to characters.
True.
But I was like, come on already. What happened with Tamlin? Like, we just, this whole section of the book, we just ignored the fact that she just broke out of a prison he held her in.
Yeah.
And just left. And it's just kind of like, oh, we know Tamlin would be freaking the F
and
out.
And he didn't have huge anger issues.
And so we just spent the next 400 pages just ignoring it.
Yeah.
So I was kind of like, can I just get a quick skip to what is happening with Tamlin?
Yeah.
And I'll come back and I'll pay attention.
I'll be honest with you, I very quickly forgot about Tamlin.
Yeah.
Very quickly.
So I wasn't invested in him at he has now switched to villain in my eyes.
Yeah.
And I just want to look back and be like,
I don't feel like he's villain yet. He's just little boy. That's all I think of. You're just little boy. You're just mad at him.
I'm mad at him. I trusted him. He was the Beauty and the Beast guy.
Yeah.
And I found out that turns out he is very needy and possessive.
He epitomizes all annoyances we have with men.
And now Rhysand,
he's like the guy you told your parents, he's just misunderstood.
But he really is. No, but it's one of those things where it's I know he's not the good guy.
Yeah.
Technically, but he lets me have a voice.
Right.
So I'm
also, girls out there, the showiest person is usually not the right one, right? Maybe some people are just keeping some things close to the chest.
It's make sure, point one, that the person you're with actually listens to your voice.
Yeah. This is, you know what they both remind me of? The voiceover.
Not what they think you should want.
They remind me of the voiceover where it's there's usually a friend group and one of them everyone thinks is nice, but he's really low-key an asshole.
Yeah.
And then the one that everyone thinks is an asshole is really low-key nice. I feel like that's Tamlin and Rhys.
Okay, let's be honest. Every man, woman, and child is both an asshole
Yes.
and super nice.
Yes.
It just context.
Yeah.
But this dude...
I will say, Lucian was my boy. And
Yes.
I'm a little mad at Lucian. I'm willing to give Lucian a second chance because I don't know these rules in Corinthian. Okay.
Yeah.
It might be harder for him than I realized. But now I kind of feel like I'm giving him excuses right now too. But I was disappointed in Lucian in the first half of the book too.
Okay, so now let's dive into the second part. A lot of stuff happens, but as I just foretold, nothing to do with Tamlin. We don't talk about Tamlin hardly at all.
That's all the airtime you get, sir.
Yes,
You're
because
done
when
now.
you lock your woman in a house, that's all the airtime you deserve.
Focus. We're not going to talk about him anymore. We're done. We're done with Tamlin.
Maybe that is
Tam
a
Tam
good
bye.
thing that they didn't talk about Tamlin because I'm this mad about it.
You're still healing.
I needed to simmer down about it. Okay, I take it back. I take everything back.
No,
Sarah.
don't take it back.
Sarah,
Stand firm on it. But now
I appreciate that
He
you
doesn't
gave
get
me
any-
space for Tamlin, for me to calm down about Tamlin to actually listen to the rest of the story.
there you go.
Okay.
He doesn't deserve any more of your time.
Okay. So we come back, and it's a house in the middle of a beautiful city. with
Vibrant.
mountain views, lights galore.
Mm-hmm.
I am like picturing some sort of like Amsterdam or something like that, like some beautiful city.
Bright
Right,
colors.
bright
on the-
colors and stuff like that.
People everywhere.
And they're in this townhouse, and he's saying nobody else can get in here.
yeah.
There's only me and a few trusted people that
Well,
can
more.
will
She had
away.
already met more. It's family.
Yes.
Right? It's only
family.
Yeah.
And then she hears on the door, like,
Some assholes.
so some people talking very snarky.
Yeah.
And Rhysand just ignores them. And he's just like, so, like, you can, hang out here. It's safe. And your bedroom's up there. You can go there. Or there's a bunch of people that are about to meet you. What do you want to do?
And I'm just going to tell you, they're kind of a lot.
And they're even, like, joking back and forth through the door. Like, he's knocking loud and, like, some prick won't let me in. And he's like, I hope you didn't say that about your high lord. Like, this is, like, the stuff that Lucian and her used to do.
Yeah.
Like, but she's like,
But better.
I'm not ready for that.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to go take that nap that I was promised earlier. So she goes upstairs right as she hears a bunch of people walking in. She hears at least two guys that are razzing Rhysand and one woman that's like, get the dogs out back and let's have a real conversation.
And it's not the woman's voice.
And it's not
more.
the jovial Moore.
Yeah. She takes a beat.
She takes a beat.
I think she actually meets them a couple nights later, right?
Yes. So basically Rhysand is like, I need your help.
Yeah.
Would you consider working with me? She's like, maybe.
Probably not, but
Probably not. I mean, I just had a very aggressive experience with a male. Right now, I'm kind of off men.
well, and honestly, he wouldn't let me work. And so
Yes.
now you approached me for work. It just seems a little, I don't know, probably not. And I think I still hate you. I'm not sure if I hate you. But
I'm so
I might.
confused.
I'm
I'm
so
so
little
confused.
all over the place.
Okay, so he's like, okay, you got to go to this dinner. After this dinner, if you want to help me, great. If not, you can live anywhere in my city.
You can live here, and I'll take you back to the Supreme Court.
Wherever you wanna go.
Supreme Court. I'll take you back to the Spring
It
Court.
felt like the Supreme. No, I'm just kidding. We're off Tamlin.
Off Tamlin.
Okay. And so she gets dressed up as she knows she's supposed to in court. And we all know she does not like dresses. So she's fundamentally uncomfortable. She wishes she had her pants on.
Well, and this is night court.
Yeah.
This isn't like little flower dress.
No.
This is like
she's got to be a woman.
a woman.
Okay. So then she goes with Rhysand to this beautiful palace on top of a mountain, like off the side of a cliff, basically. And she walks in and she sees the inner circle. The men that were attached to the voices.
Yes.
So let's talk about these men she meets.
Okay.
So she meets Azrael. Azrael is so gorgeous.
Yes, he's the most attractive, she said.
Yes.
Of them.
Yes. Muscles, but he does have just like a whiff of shadows around him at all times.
Smolder always.
So I like pictured him like almost looking like he's moving slow motion because there's just shadows following him everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's just a very serious,
well, and the
stern
tattoos.
face.
She explained his tattoos.
all those tattoos. Like you're gonna love it. Okay. So then we have Cassian, who I picture him as just like a broader, beefier, but a little bit shorter version of Azrael.
No, wrong. He's way taller than all of them.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Man, I've totally misjudged him this whole time.
He's like 6'7", 6'8",
But
I
I
think.
do see Jason Momoa playing this guy.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yes.
I like
with
how,
like a low ponytail.
I like how,
like,
as you're aging, do you notice the people you're casting are older? When these guys, in my mind, when I was reading it, look like they're probably like
20.
25.
But everybody
26.
looks older. So then we have, again, More beautiful girl. She's actually very happy because More is wearing a dress too. So she was like, oh, phew, I don't look like an idiot.
That long blonde hair, and she's all dudded
just,
up, looking great.
And she is very bubbly, which I love.
I do too.
Especially because it's not what you would picture from the night court.
She takes the awkwardness out of like every situation Feyre's in where she starts to feel awkward. Like she's instantly a comfortable person.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we have Amren.
The opposite of that, not comfortable.
No. So I just picture her.
Edna Moon?
Yes! Oh my God. I'm so glad you said that. But like hot.
So at first I did see Edna Moon right away. Not the glass necessarily, but then I see very like angular.
Very
and, like,
angular, short, serious, curt.
Yes.
Honest. But like these like silver flame eyes.
Yes.
I'm like, okay, so she's scary.
Yeah. But I love how they talked about how short she is. So if you think about it, Cassian, I think when I watched videos, it's supposed to be like 6'7".
Yeah.
Amren's like 5'2".
That's funny.
But they're all afraid of Amren.
Yeah. Well, I mean, look at her eyes, Nicole.
Her eyes, yeah. Well, and Rhys described her as like, something different.
Yeah. Just the fact that you can look at someone and be like, that's somebody that's powerful just by looking at her.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
She must have been...
Well, and I'm not going to lie. When she first met Amren, and Amren's like, oh, so there's two of us now. Here, Amren's described as like the scariest of the scary of all of them. And she's like 5'2".
Yeah.
She's like this little Edna Moon come in with her silver eyes. And, so there's two of us. I kind of was like, ooh. Like, it shows you how they know more about Feyre than Feyre knows about Feyre right now.
Well, and they're open to talking about it.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Tamlin was like, the political ramifications of you even training.
Don't even explain it, Marissa.
I know,
you can't even explain.
Angry.
No,
and again, this is how he handles problems because he didn't go under the mountain.
See, you're getting riled up again, though. We gotta start talking.
Okay, so let's talk about the people that we meet. So they're all sitting around the table, they're razzing each other, and as they're going through, she's learning bits and pieces about everyone. Yeah. And she realizes that the conversation feels more like a family. It feels, I just was like picturing like Lucian could just slide right in here and that they're like all a family.
It was like a bunch of different kinds of Lucians. Yeah,
yes.
Lucian was the only personableness at the Spring Court.
Exactly. Yeah. Everything else was very hierarchical.
Right. And even Lucian started out hating her.
Yes.
Right? So there was like this tension. All of these guys are just kind of like, hey, what's up? Like she's always been there.
Yeah. Okay. So I am actually very happy. Amren is number 2 in command, and More is number 3.
Yeah.
And there was no mention. I mean, I know Cassian rules the armies, and, we've got a spy master on our hands, but the 2 women are number 2 and 3.
Yes. Yeah. Well, not only that, Rhys said, like, she was like, who's More? And she's like, she's who I call when all the armies fail and Cassie and Azrael are both dead. Like, she's a badass.
Yes. So I love,
which you said this, I think, the last episode, that Rhys said something with, like, 0 ego.
Yeah.
Like, you've made that comment about him before. I felt the very same way. 0 ego. And both the men had 0 ego about that being the case as well.
It's, like, the reverse of 0 ego because you can sense, like, the pride.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Like, yeah, my cousin can kick your ass, and she's a girl.
Which is the exact opposite of where we just came from.
Yes.
Not to get you down the Tamlin spiral again.
Thank you for bringing it up again. Okay, so let's hear how these quote-unquote bat boys met. Okay, their origin story. So Rhys, we find out, or I think we kind of knew a little bit, but he is half High Fae, half...
Illyrian.
I
can't say
I always say it wrong. So he's half Illyrian. Mm-hmm. So his mom is Illyrian, and we find out that his parents mated when she was actually getting her wings clipped.
Yeah, they were trying to wrestle her to do that.
So,
but wait, why do you get your wings clipped, Marissa?
Because you are meant to breed. That is your role. You keep house, you give babies, and then you clip the wings of future breeders is what you do.
So that you keep them on the ground.
Yes. So once
barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen.
Yes. Okay. So once you mature, you get your wings clipped. She did everything she could to delay that happening. On the day that she gets found out, they're going to clip her wings. This High Lord of the Night Court, like, winnows in and just sees her. They bond, and he just, like, what they call mists.
Oh, yeah, this is our first introduction of what does mist mean.
Yes, and so that's basically turning a human into just blood bubbles.
Blood bubbles? You kind of made it sound pretty.
Oh, well, that's the Elaine in me.
Blood bubbles.
They mate. They have Rhys, who is the most powerful High Lord in history.
Yeah.
And she is like, I don't want him to be some little punk high fae.
Let's go toughen him up a little bit.
Yeah, like, okay, great, you can snap your fingers and kill people, but can you beat them with a sword? And so she takes
I do like how Feyre's like, so wait, you just dumped him? She just dumped you at the camp? And it's like, well, she did, but she had a house on the outskirts of town.
she still didn't want you to be an idiot.
She still was nice. It's fine.
So turns out Rhys was the rich kid that had a fancy house on the edge of town.
New training leathers.
Instead of, like, living in a hut with the rest of the students.
Enter Cassian.
Enter Cassian, who, again, was bastard born. So he was in the woods.
Bastard of not a lord or anything like that.
No.
Bastard of a warrior and a laundress.
Yes.
So, like, the lowest of the low. Bastards are already low, right, in this echelon.
But
lowest of the low, yeah.
And so Cassian looks at him and he's like, hey, I could use those clothes.
Let me get your shoes, man.
Yeah.
Let me get your shoes.
Give me your shoes. And beats him to a pulp for his clothes. And so they do not get off on the right foot at all.
And I love how this is introduced. How Rhys is just telling the story, and it's like, well, how'd it go? And it's like, oh, I was beat up on my first day. And Cassian just goes, you were so clean. It just kind of shows you his personality.
Yes.
Like, I had to.
So Rhys goes home and says, hey,
Mom,
why is that guy just walking into the forest? And she's like, oh, that's how we treat bastards. Aren't you glad I wed your father first?
That he gets no tent.
No nothing.
No food,
and
no
if
clothes.
you survive, you survive. And so, in the middle of the night, Rhys went and snuck out there, and Cassian's like, why are you waking me up, dude? And Rhys is like, come here. I know you stole my clothes, but I've got more for you.
No, he just went, follow me.
Follow me.
Yeah.
So he goes. His mom gets pissed.
Yeah.
But was like, okay, he did the right thing. And he smells. Go take a bath. You can stay here. So now Rhys and Cassian hate each other. But
yeah, I like how Feyre was like,
roommates.
so you guys were friends from that point on? They're like, oh, hell no. No, we hated each other.
Nope, they hated me. A year later, shows up Azriel.
Yeah.
Another bastard that would be stuck in the woods.
Dude, Azriel's story, too.
Yes.
He's a bastard of one of the lords, though.
Yes,
but
so he was highborn.
Kept in a cell, like, with no windows, and he got to see his mom, like, an hour a week.
I'd rather be in the forest.
They wouldn't let him train. They wouldn't let him do anything. I would, too.
Yeah.
And then his dad's like, oh, wait a minute. You got some special stuff going on.
Yeah.
You got some special sauce there. He's a shadow singer.
Whoops, my bad.
Yeah, which is all that stuff that you were saying,
Yeah.
you know, is around him. He can, like, whisper into the shadows and get secrets. They're spies.
That's why he's such a good spy master.
Right. But then also with Azriel, Feyre notices his hands.
Yes.
And they've got the burn swirls.
Yes.
And we hear about how his brothers, like, burned him with oil to see how fast he would heal.
Yeah. It's
all their stories, like, just
very
ripped my
sad.
freaking heart out.
Very sad.
Yeah.
But they became friends, and they
did.
Became
strong.
And mind you, I know Rhys is a High Lord and yada, yada, yada.
He's not High Lord yet.
No,
right,
but he's son of a High Lord.
Yeah.
But since he is mixed, he is, like, the bottom of the bottom also. So even though he can mist everybody, like, they don't care. He's still low-born in their eyes.
Correct. Yeah.
So they're, like, the three outcasts. Finally, they start getting along. And with the power Rhys has, with the shadow singing...
His dad's already suspecting that Rhys
yeah.
is going to overtake him at some point.
Yeah.
And, like, they're not proud of their sons here in Perinthian. No, it's like, you're going to take my power. We're immortal. You forgot. Now you're going to become competition once you grow up.
Yeah.
So, yeah, his dad wasn't liking that with the combination, like you said, of these his bros are also powerful. You got a Shadow Slinger, you got a...
The most powerful Aryan in the world ever, in history. So they all get split up for the war.
Yeah, his dad's like, try and bond now.
Well, and he's like, Shadow Slinger, stay with me.
Yeah.
So poor Azrael had to like be a spy for...
Daddy Rhys.
So... Feyre hears all of this story, all of the sadness around it, also the empowerment of the women who are the commanders of this brood, and the like back and forth, tit for tat, and she just looks up and she goes, okay, I'll work with you. And everybody looks at her like, okay, that interesting.
What? This was an interview?
And Rhys was like, oh yeah, I didn't tell them that you weren't going to work with us. So now I have a story of what we need to do, y'all.
Yeah, exactly.
Now let's talk about a plan. So what did you think of everyone as they were like going tit for tat?
I mean, it was just so natural.
Yeah.
It was so natural. I think one beautiful thing about the way Sarah J. Maas writes is you thought Tamlin and Lucien were cute. And you thought Alice was just like, checking it up. And then just by reading this interaction at that dinner that night, you're like, oh no.
Yeah.
That place kind of sucks.
That place was kind of boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, there wasn't
But when I was in
going
it,
on.
I was fine with it. It was cool.
Yeah.
And then now I'm here, I'm like, no, it's way better.
Yeah.
They're like real and they're cool.
They're actual people. Yes.
I also love how they became, like, he was basically just like, once I became High Lord, I basically appointed all of them my inner circle and told my dad's friends, like, you don't like it? Leave. Peace out. And every single one of them did. He said all of them did. And then it's like, so then that's who's in the court of nightmares now. Yeah. That's the night court now. And he's like, some of them, some went to Amarantha, and we hunted those bitches down and got rid of them.
Yeah.
And then the rest of them, they're the night court. And she's like, what is this?
The Court of Dreams.
The Court of Dreams.
Which is
I thought of you when I read that line.
That's such a cute way, because it's like, you think of night, you think of darkness and sadness and shadows, but it's like, you think about the stars. It's the dreams.
And then you really see how the outside world only knows the night court, which they call the Court of Nightmares.
And you understand why Rhys because at first,
protected it.
Feyre was pissed. She was a little irritated, like, why'd you just save these people? Yeah. Why didn't you save everyone else? And then this was kind of like her, okay, I get it.
She's learning more and more about the story, which I think as she learns more about this story, and this holds true, I think, for the rest of the book too, she gets more and more and more, you realize there is no pride in what Rhys or any of these guys are doing. They don't need the glory. They don't need to be accepted by anybody. Even though I think they really do want her to accept them.
Yeah.
They give just enough. They don't need that praise. They're not in it for that. No. They really are the heroes. I love it.
We think. Maybe.
I'm pretty sure right now.
No spoilers.
I'm pretty sure right now.
Okay. So Rhys's big plan that Feyre thought everybody was auditioning for, which she found out was actually not what happened, is we got to go to this prison. And he's like, I think the King of Highbird's up to something.
We got to find out.
Something's going on.
Who do you call?
We need to go to the Bone Carver. And so Azrael says, I'll do it. And Rhys is like, no, nobody's going to talk to you, bro. And he's like,
they're like, they're not talking to you either.
I want Amren to do it. And Amren's like, I am not going back in that prison.
Yeah, she snapped right away.
So now we find out she was in a prison.
She was in the prison.
Yeah, she was in the prison. And she's like, okay. So now Feyre's sitting there like, oh crap. This really powerful girl sitting next to me that everybody's afraid of, that's number 2 in command, is like, I am not going back there. I'm not stepping foot in there.
Yeah.
And then Rhys goes, well, I guess it's going to have to be me and Feyre.
And she goes, okay.
Bet. She said bet. She would. Okay. They start climbing, and she's hearing more, and he's like, don't talk too much about stuff that you don't want anybody to know about, because the walls can hear.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay, maybe I don't want to do this. Can I go? And he just is like, sure. And he just winnows away. And she's like, okay, now I kind of feel like, you know what?
She did feel bad.
She felt like a punk.
I got it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So then Amren comes up and is like, I know you're scared. She actually did not say it nice at all. She just like,
why you
quit
a pussy?
Being a punk. Here is my
amulet.
necklace.
Yeah.
And this is how I got out. So if you wear this, you'll get out too.
Right. And they've already told her she's like a fire drake with jewelry. Like she hoards it like a dragon, like her treasures and things like that.
And then she looks at her and she's like, bitch, if you don't give it back though,
I'm gonna kill you.
I'm gonna kill you. And so Feyre's like, oh my gosh, she's trusting me with this valuable thing that not only she hoards like just jewelry, but this has like powers.
Yeah.
She's like, okay, Rhys, I got this.
Let's go.
I can do this.
I'm ready.
So she puts that thing on. She climbs up because you can't fly or winnow in. Mm-hmm. They get to the gates. The gates are made of bone.
Yeah.
So great entrance. I cannot wait to visually see that because my imagination went crazy with this like bone gate thing.
So I kind of saw a small door.
Oh, I saw massive like bones just like all mangled together.
I did see bones and stuff because it doesn't appear until like Rhys puts his hand up, right? So I just saw like a small door. I think mostly because it was so crunched when they got in there.
Yeah.
So like I just kind of saw this like little like peek in door.
Mine was creepier. Okay, so they walk in and there's no cells, there's no guards, and she's like, what's up with nobody watching this prison that everybody's scared of?
That really, really bad people or things.
Are you sure somebody shouldn't be guarding the front door? And he's like, no, like the guards are built into the mountain.
Yeah.
So it's like, this is just not our idea of a prison. This is so much bigger.
It almost an eighth court.
Yeah.
Like it's a place unto itself. It upholds its own laws.
And as she's walking by, she actually starts like hearing people behind the walls. So
that's
she's
when
like,
I got really creeped out.
Yeah, that's very creepy. And they just keep going down and down. And she's just like, why am I following him? This will not end. And they're just going further and further down.
I feel like there's flags.
This just doesn't feel great. And so they get to the very, very bottom. Mm-hmm. And before Rhys did anything, before we even got here, he said, never lie to the bone carver. Okay? Mm-hmm. He said, like, she was like asking, like, what does he look like? He's like, you won't know. I'll see something, you'll see something different.
Yeah.
You know, Rhys grabs this bone that he evidently had, and he throws it at the bone carver and says, here is the bone that Feyre Cursebreaker used to kill the worm in the first trial.
It was the strike from the trap.
Yes.
And I remember she was like, how did he even know which bone it was?
Exactly.
And then who grabs the bone in that?
I mean,
Rhys does.
Rhys does. He knew he would need it eventually. He's
Someday.
always scheming. Always scheming. And so the bone carver is like, yes. So evidently,
very excited about this bone.
He really likes bones. And
I saw, so before we knew what each one looked like, right? I know she said it was a little 8-year-old boy, but a lot of times I saw from Harry Potter.
Yeah.
No, not
Dobby.
Harry Potter. Lord of Rings. I saw my precious.
My precious. Okay. Yes, that would probably be what he actually looks like. But Feyre pictures a little boy with black hair and blue eyes.
Yeah, piercing
blue eyes, just looking up and just like this baby saying like the just weirdest stuff.
Very
like,
adult things.
Tell me about when you died.
And Rhys is like, question for a question. She's going to answer you. You're going to give us the information we want. He's like, all right, cool. She's like, I saw darkness. I saw a thread that I knew connected me to the outside world. And then Feyre says, is there a way to resurrect a person with only a bit of bone? And he's basically like, only the cauldron can do that. That's impossible. First she's like, impossible. Well, wait a minute. The cauldron can do that. But it was hidden centuries ago at the bottom of this frozen lake. Everyone forgot about it. Nobody cares. And then he's like, I'm pretty sure like centuries later, they broke the feed off of it just to like lower its power. And they hid that other places. Then all of a sudden they're going to leave and Feyre just goes, there was a choice in death. Like she gave something without anything in return. And the bone carver instantly was like, Rhys, you know who has the cauldron. Like basically like Hybern. I already know who you're thinking, Hybern.
So her honesty actually got more information that the bone carver was holding back.
Definitely.
Just because she was like, I'll give you what you actually want. I'm not going to play this back and forth game.
Yeah, I know I'm new to Perinthium, but like I know how to get a deal here, Rhys. Let's go.
Actually, probably she's getting a deal because she's doing stupid stuff that he's like, you don't do that in Perinthium.
It's throwing everybody off. Well, and then she does it again. She tells him when I was going to kill the third fairy. If it wasn't Tamlin, I was going to kill myself. And he says, You can also shatter the wall with the cauldron. Guys, FYI, like, hint, hint, Hybern wants to shatter the wall. That's what he's really got the cauldron for. And then he offered to them the only way to stop it is something called the Book of Breathings. Oh. Yeah. So basically, when the cauldron was made, the book was also made in order to wield the cauldron, right? And there were spells and things like that in there. So they're like, okay, cool. Where the book be at? Yeah. where do we go get this book? And he's like, well, people thought it was a myth. It's been centuries and centuries as part of the treaty. Yeah. More as just like a symbol. Yeah. We broke it in half, gave half of it to the Fae, gave half of it to the humans. It's like, okay, where's the Fae half? And he's like, Summer Court. Yep. It's in the Summer Court. And then the queens have the other half, but FYI.
The mortal queens.
The mortal queens, but FYI. They used Fae magic before this all happened as part of the treaty to, like, if you steal it, it'll melt. Yeah. So they have to give it to you willingly.
Yeah. And I want to note that this whole time that they're doing go back and forth, Feyre is, like, bleeding her heart with, like, the information she's giving. When Rhys had to give information, he's like, sometimes my knee hurts when it rains.
I found that so funny, though.
It's like, okay, so he's playing that game, but he's good at it. See, that's why you got to keep the little stuff secret, too. Yes. You always have to have, like, in your back pocket.
A little bit of smartass.
Like, ow, my thumb hurts when I do this. So they found out a lot of crap. And we also found out that Rhys actually knew all of this stuff already. He just needed it verified, which... Trust but verify, I guess, but it feels like we lost some time here.
I'm not going to lie. When he said that, I was kind of like, dude, you want to let anybody know your theories? Maybe some of us have some info and we wouldn't have had to, like, come down to the bottom of prison and almost die.
Yes. And now, why did you even make me come? I wanted to, like, not come the first time. You could have just been like, you know what? I pretty much know what he's going to say.
I just need a confirmation. You're going to be fine.
Yeah, it's fine. I'll go by myself. It's cool. It's cool.
One thing. So she saw the 8-year-old boy. Mm-hmm. Who did Rhys see?
Jurian.
Not nuts.
That's okay. There's something.
And I didn't think Jurian was a big part of the story.
I didn't think so either.
And I felt like when he saw Jurian, I'm like, okay, there obviously is a history there. Because if you're trying to get...
it's going to be bigger. Yeah. His role's going to definitely be bigger. We just don't know why or how.
And my opinion of, like, the 8-year-old boy that she saw, I was like, oh, he's trying to seem like, you can trust me. You can trust me.
And that's why she said all of those things to her.
It is true. Yeah. It might be, she felt safe.
Yeah. That is good change management in my mind.
It really is. This bone carver ain't no dummy. This is not his first rodeo.
No, he's not. So we come to find out that like calls to like is what everybody keeps saying.
Right.
And Feyre was made, and the Book of Beginnings was made, and they're all different and the same and blah, blah, blah.
She could find these things.
Yes. Yeah. So he's like, you might be able to just walk around the Summer Court and feel like you know it, but we don't know if that's the case. So I'm going to test you.
How about another test?
And mind you, everybody around was like, Rhys, no.
They were all like, you're being a dick.
Yeah, don't make her do this. And she's like, do what? And he's like, I've got a challenge for you.
Bet. Let's go.
And she's just like, sure, fine. And everybody's like, this is a stupid idea. Don't do this to her.
Yeah.
But they've got to test her powers of feeling. And so they plop in this, like, no man's land by the most traumatic place in her life, which is the mountain, the sacred mountain that she was under the mountain. And so we find out that this whole no man's land, like, there's no rules. Nobody owns this. This is not governed by any high lords or anything. So the beasts that live here are shady.
I mean, I wouldn't be messing with it.
It's where nobody, like, think of these people who want to, like, carve out lands and just expand and stuff. And they're like, I am not touching that because that is a bad place.
It's got to be scary if capitalism doesn't reach it, you know?
Exactly. So they plop in the middle of the forest, and he's, like, talking through. He's like, you can't bring anything, only knives, because there's already kitchen knives and stuff. You can't introduce anything new or known.
Right.
And so he's like, I can't go in there because she knows me, she'll recognize me, but you'll just blend in. And so Feyre's like, sweet, she's blind. And he's like, yeah, but... she can sense anything, so don't make any noise. Don't touch anything else besides what calls to you.
Right.
And I'm not even going to tell you what what it is that'll call to you.
No, we have to know. You're part night court because I gave you that. Can you sense it? Because then you can sense the book.
I don't know if it's a candle, if it's a blanket. No. I'm just wandering around this lady's
Kleenex,
house.
possibly. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know.
Okay. And so Rhys is like, good luck, brah. Don't die. And so she's like...
pretty much did.
He really did.
Yeah.
And so she's like creaking into this little cabin that has smoke coming out. And she's like, it doesn't look scary.
No, the door was open. She's like, which is like, come in here,
please.
So I can like kill you.
I very much got like
Hansel
and Gretel vibes. Okay, I'm glad we're in the same place here.
For sure.
So she's like creeping in. She sees this woman, and this woman is just singing this song, like delightfully. Like while she's spinning. She's just spinning. And she's like, I don't know what she's spinning, but she's got like a lot of stuff behind her, a lot of fabric and stuff.
Yeah.
And she's singing this song about like murdering people.
Yeah, it was so creepy.
Very happily.
Yes.
Like to the point where I'm like just like zooming through the song because I'm like, this is just gibberish cruelty.
It was.
So Feyre is like slowly looking around, and she feels something. Mm-hmm. And she's like, she isolates it to this one thing. And she like looks around, she grabs it, she starts taking slow walks back, and she hears somebody there. And she's like, oh fuck. And she's like slowly back. The door's closed, the window's closed. Yeah. There's no doorknob on the door anymore. So she has this thing in her hand, and she's like, oh, crud.
Well,
busted.
It's been real. I'm obviously going to die.
Okay. The thing starts creeping towards her, and she looks behind, and she realizes that these blankets and fabric are like animals. Like,
skin.
She was like, spinning animal.
Yeah.
Like flesh.
Yeah.
And stuff. And she's like, I got to get out of here. So she's like looking at windows. Where can I go? Up the chimney.
Yeah.
She's like, I got this. So she hurries up, she runs, she gets around her, she has whatever is in this stupid box that Rhys made her grab, and she starts climbing up the chimney, and she gets stuck. And the old woman is like, okay, you made a lot of noise getting to the chimney, I know exactly where you are now.
Yeah.
And she's like, the inside of it is like grease and stuff, probably from boiling like skin that she's weaving.
Yeah.
So just really disgusting, right? Yeah. And she's like hyperventilating, freaking out. The witch starts climbing up behind her.
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And she hears in her head, you got this. Yeah. Like, yeah. I don't think it was actually you got this, but that was the feeling that I felt with whatever he said.
That's fine. This is Cliff Notes version.
And she's like, wait a second. I'm not a little human anymore.
Yeah.
I'm a big ass bitch. And so she just starts like punching the whole chimney, making room for it, gets free, gets a brick out, yanks it and throws it down on her face. She just starts screaming, and she's like going up, and she gets out of it onto the roof. She realizes the roof is made out of hair.
And she's covered in grease.
So she's got like splotches
like grease and hair of herself instead of tarred and feathered.
From people that were murdered.
Yeah.
The witch runs out of the house and is just screaming like, where are you, trying to find her? She's like, I'm not going down there.
Yeah.
And so she runs, and she just starts leaping from tree to tree like, where is Rhys, that jerk? What is she doing?
She's getting more and more
she's
pissed.
Getting so pissed. The witch is getting further and further back. Finally, she runs into Rhys, and she smells, has all this stuff, and she just like throws the box at him, and it's just like, you idiot, this sucks. And they both willow away, and she like drops so disgusting in the townhouse. And everybody's like,
felt for her.
What just happened?
I think, who was the one who said it? Like, you're a dick. I think it was Cassian.
Yeah.
Probably, yeah.
But they proved that like calls to like.
She's a detector.
She is a detector. And so now we are ready for Feyre to find the book.
We think we're ready. She's ready.
So he writes to the summer court, but they also need to get the other book.
They do.
And so they're talking about, and they're like, where could we meet somewhere neutral?
Who knows humans? Who in this room?
And Feyre was like, I used to be one.
Yeah. Oh, Feyre.
I still have family.
Your
that's
sisters. Your sisters.
Mm-hmm. So she actually is like, my sisters will do it. Let's go talk to them.
Yeah.
And she's like...
She hasn't been back. She wasn't all that happy. She hasn't been back.
No.
And they don't know what they don't know right now.
No. They think she's probably dead, to be honest.
Yeah.
And Nesta might be happy about it based on her
We're not
previous
sure.
interactions.
We don't know.
But we'll find out. So they're like, okay, Feyre, you are going to be my emissary to the human world. Let's set up this meeting with the queens. Let's try to get the other half of the book because we can't do it with any sort of deception. So they go, and right away, the maid is like, this person
she was not into them.
But Elaine, lovely Elaine, just like bypassed the whole fact that her sister's a fairy now. Like, she didn't even see it. She just saw her soul.
Yeah.
And was just like, oh, come in. Oh, I missed you so much. Let's go to the continent
I'm just
and buy candy.
I'm going to assume under that, like, radiant beauty in the hood that there's not pointed ears.
No big deal. And Nesta's just kind of like, oh, great. Here we go again.
Yeah.
In her very Nesta-esque way. Feyre sits down and is like, I need you guys to clear the house. We need your help. Like, let's do this. And so they get rid of everybody in the house. And in comes Rhys,
The Bat Boys.
Azrael, and Cassian.
Yeah.
But Rhys doesn't have his wings. And I will note, he very rarely has his wings.
Outside of Valeris and the...
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, if he's not using them in Valeris, he don't got wings.
Right.
And so he is very respectful. Thank you so much for letting us come. And they all sit down and they lay out this plan of they need the queens to meet us here.
Like, we're going to war.
Yeah.
All right. We need your help.
Yeah. And so, Nesta is
like hard stop.
Nope, not
Hard
going to
stop.
happen. And they find out that Elaine is engaged. But she's engaged to somebody who, like, makes a living out of hunting and killing fairies.
Yeah, he hates them.
Yes. He is, like, this High Lord, or, like, not High Lord in Perinthian, but, like, this Lord's son who is very anti-Fae. Now my sister-in-law is Fae. This is awkward.
Yeah.
And so Nesta's like, we can't have Fae in our house when Elaine's gonna get married.
Yeah.
Like, we
and
can't.
Elaine was like, no, Nesta.
We good.
Cool your tits.
Yeah.
Okay. Feyre did so... this is the first time we actually hear Elaine say, Feyre did so much for us. We can do this for her.
Yes.
Right?
Well, and she was the first person to say anything about that.
Yeah.
Like,
I loved it. It was
loved
nice.
it too.
And Nesta backed off.
Yeah, she did.
And I did love how, like, then when they kind of part a little bit, Feyre's like, all right, who's this guy? Yeah. What's going on? She's like, he's all right. I like his dad. Like, in a very Nesta way. Like, his dad sucks. And she's like, how does he suck? And she's like, I don't know. He built a wall. Looks like a prison.
Yeah. I don't want to go there.
I don't want to go there. But he loves her. Like, Grayson or whatever his name is.
They genuinely love each other.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
That they sit down to eat because they have to spend the night. And Feyre starts eating and she's like, oh my God, this tastes like crap.
I can not only imagine her trying to, like, choke this down.
Like, and so she is like, this is a beautiful meal by old standards, but it's nothing compared to it. And of course, like, Cassian and Azrael are just, like, scarfing it down like they haven't eaten in months, and Rhys is respectfully eating, but Nesta is just, like, dead-eyeing.
Yeah.
And,
what, we're too good for you? We're not good enough for you, bitch?
Yeah, you don't like our food? And she's like, no, it's delicious. Like, so, not a good start.
But Nesta don't let it go.
No.
And then Cassian reps Nesta. Okay,
Yes.
What did you think of that scene?
So,
He's like, I saw... What did he say? He was like...
like, basically, why did you let your little sister...
a little bitch that let your little sister go out when you were... Everyone was starving.
An adult.
Yeah.
You were an adult by that time.
Oh, I loved it.
Yeah. I was kind of like, I can't believe Nesta just, like, disregarded this big guy with, like, Dracula wings.
Yeah.
Screaming at her, and she just looks at him like, you're not scary, and, like, snide remarks back
didn't
at
even
Feyre.
respond to him.
No.
Like, he doesn't exist.
Like, come to the big kid table later. So then they also are like, okay, if we're staying here, they get very tactical. They're like, we need 2 bedrooms with 2 beds each, da-da-da-da.
Yeah.
And Elaine's like, oh.
Right next to each other.
And she's like, oh, we don't have it. And he's like, we'll make do with whatever.
Yeah.
But that also means that Feyre and Rhys are sharing room.
They are.
So they walk in, and Feyre looks at it, and there's only one bed.
Oh, my God, scandalous.
And she's like, I can't do this. Nope. And then he like clicks his fingers and a little cot comes on the side of the bed. And she's like, okay, phew. Okay, crisis averted. You know, she gets ready. He gets ready. He lays down. She gets into bed. The bed is nice and warm. And she is just like...
Oh, I forgot about this.
Yeah, she's like, thank you for warming the bed. And he said, Amarantha never thanked me for that. And I was like, oh, like that's sad.
Yeah.
But that's also sweet because she probably was freezing.
It is sweet.
So now you're getting like the softer side.
Yeah.
The next day they have to like write the letter to the queens. They've got to go send it and stuff. And it's like their day off of training because again, Cassian's been, you know, training her and things like that. And so she goes out with Rhys and they're supposed to be, working on her powers. And he has a candle and he's like, okay, light it.
Yeah.
And she's like looking at it, like trying. She's like, I can't concentrate with you by me. Just go away.
Yeah. Get out of here.
Get out of here. And so she's like working on it, trying, and like a piece of paper and a pen pops up and he just starts like writing like, how's it going, man? And she's like, leave me alone.
No, he's not even, he's like, I'm bored. You got any sparks? Anything happening?
Like just like the funny, flirty thing. So they're writing back and forth and everything. And then all of a sudden she's like, first of all, leave me alone. She's like working on it. And guess what comes out of the sky?
I could not believe this.
The adder comes out of the sky and like grabs her mouth and like tries to drag her up. And she's like, oh shit. And like trying to use any power.
She doesn't even have time to think, oh shit, before Rhys is there.
Rhys is there.
In the most epic way.
Oh yeah.
Like night swirls and rah.
He captures the adder.
Yeah.
And is like, who sent you? Why are you here?
Exactly. So intimidating.
That's what went through my head while I was doing it.
But Azriel comes right away, disappears with him.
Yep.
I can only imagine. I'm like, this.
But he does find out that it's the King of Hybern that sent him. She finds out, okay, Rhys is here, Azriel's gone, Cassian's, you know, protecting my sisters, all is better. She looks at Rhys and she's like, you son of a bitch. I was bait, wasn't I?
Yeah.
And she is pissed.
Yeah.
And I love that, like, she can be pissed. Like, she was tiptoeing with Tamlin, I feel like.
Oh, yeah.
But she was pissed. And so she starts, like, trying to throw magic at him and stuff. And he's like, oh, woof, woof, woof. Nice try. It's like when your little kid gets mad and, like, stomps or something. And it's like...
Except for he can winnow, so it's just like, boop, boop, boop.
But... in this aggressive anger that she is trying to physically abuse him, he's just too fast for her.
Yeah.
She actually winnows for the first time. So she knows she can do it, which is interesting because not all Fae can do it. Fae can do it. Yeah. So she it's like, okay, I've got these powers. I'm learning them, but she knows how to winnow. Yeah. But she also knows she can only do it when she wants to punch Rhys in the face.
Which is really mad.
Okay. So the adder is gone. They pack up and say, sorry for bringing, you know, fairies to your house, but we'll come back.
See you at the holidays.
See you later. And then they go and find out what happened to the adder. And Rhys, like when he comes back, she knows that Azriel is there. She knows that the adder was, you know, tortured. And she just wants what happened? And Tamlin always shut her out of this and was like, don't worry your pretty little head about it.
Yeah.
But Rhys looks at her as like, I'll show you. And he actually lets her in his brain because they're both Demonte.
Yeah.
And lets her physically see what's happening. And the interesting thing about him doing this is she can also hear his internal
I thought that was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. That he's like, oh, Feyre's pissed at me. She should be though. And I'm like, yeah, she should. Okay.
Agreed.
It's like, oh, is that your sly way of saying you're sorry?
Yes.
Let her see your inner thoughts.
Yes.
In torturing the adder. Azriel slips, or no, Rhys slips, that there might be something going on with the spring court. He basically tells Az, with this and the situation in the spring court.
Yeah.
So Feyre sees that.
Yeah. Well, and this was kind of Feyre should have known that they were monitoring the spring court.
Yeah, here's where the hell's Tamlin been? Yes. And you're like, oh yeah, he's a beast.
Yeah.
With a real big anger problem.
Yes. So she finally sends him a note that says,
okay, wait, we got to read this.
Yes. Read
because so the note it was so short and sweet.
It was.
Okay,
Was
note,
it sweet?
No, it wasn't sweet. I left of my own free will. New paragraph. I am cared for and safe. Period. I'm grateful for all you did for me, comma, all that you gave. Period. New paragraph. Please don't come looking for me. I'm not coming back.
Yeah.
No love, Feyre. No fuck you. Nothing.
I mean, she didn't even sign her name, so I could... Who knows how many girls he's trapped in his house like a prison.
Which girl are you?
Maybe it's not Feyre.
This is an R. Kelly situation.
So, I will also say that, given the dynamics, I feel like she should have been a little bit more explicit, because he definitely thinks that she was kidnapped.
That sounds like a forced letter. Like Rhys made you write it.
Yeah. Well, and he has, like, mind-altering powers.
Okay, but also, she gave it to Rhys. You're not going to say nothing? You're not going to say, like, maybe we send proof of life. Maybe.
Well, I feel like this was probably a conversation that should have happened face-to-face. On neutral ground.
Okay. You're trying to be all mature.
Well, it's one of those things where you don't break up with somebody with a Post-it. I'm a strong anti-Post-it person.
Yes.
And as somebody who avoids confrontation like the plague, if I have to do it, y'all have to do it. So, again, Feyre, face-to-face would have been best. I get it. You escaped, barely. So fair. But, like, with magic or something, can't you, like, just, like, do a hologram or something?
Like a video? You would like a video breakup.
I mean...
Post-it. A
FaceTime.
video
Can
post-it.
we FaceTime in Corinthian, please?
I think Marissa wants a video post-it breakup.
Okay, so she sends the letter. She's like, okay, finally, he's out of my life.
Yeah.
But I'm joking because she is very torn. Throughout this whole sequencing of things happening, even every time she, like, flirts a little bit with Rhys, she's like, traitor in her head. Like, I'm a jerk.
Think this is where it really changes for her. Because they go out that night, don't they? Or close after that. And she gets to kind of see all the interactions. Again, we have another very, like, family-oriented, having fun, eating. She finds out Amren drinks blood. That was interesting.
Yeah.
That was a new one. But the store owner, like, was so nice and sweet. So it's just, like, the community of Valaris is, like, so beautiful. And then in that walk home, that's when she sees the rainbow of Valaris. And here's the music.
And that was the music that Rhys put into the cell when she was, like, breaking apart under the mountain. Like, that's what saved her.
What did you think when you heard... Like, my heart melted.
Yes.
I was like, oh my God. Another thing he didn't take credit for.
Yes.
But knew he did. Because he was only doing it to give her comfort.
But also because he wanted her to live because it was part of his plan.
Very true.
But he didn't have to.
He didn't.
He could have done it in a different way.
He could have.
Like licking her tears off. He did that way too.
It's Marissa's favorite part of the entire series.
It's so weird. Please don't ever lick somebody's tears off. You can kiss them off. That's cute. Can I also say one very big difference between you and I is you loved the Valaris part. You loved all of this family, all this stuff. And I was kind of like, okay, when are we going to fight again or like go do stuff? And you were like,
oh, I love this crew.
I love the crew. I understand the context needed to be built. But I'm kind of like, okay, do I really need to sit here and listen to you guys have dinner? I should have dinner with my family if I'm going to do that. Instead of sitting here reading a book about me.
About another family having dinner together.
Quit reminding me I should be eating with
I'm
my family.
laughing so hard because like Derek and the kids will sit at the dinner table and eat, and I will sit in my chair and read while I eat my dinner.
I mean, when you're in a book, you're in it. Yeah. I get it.
And I'm actually glad you guys are all in a different room right now.
I appreciate it. I know it's needed, but I was trying to zoom through those like so quick.
Yeah. Okay, so the next morning, Cassian, she's training with Cassian.
Yeah.
And he starts kind of like, but you're never going back.
Yeah.
And it like really gets to her. And I thought that was cute of Cassian, how he's like, I'm sorry, man. I was just my shitty way of asking if you're okay and telling you I'm here for you. Like, what a mentally mature male.
I mean,
you are.
He started shitty, but yes, he recovered. Fair.
He admitted to it right away, though.
Yes.
He's like, it's just,
Fair.
I just really want to know, are you okay? Are you okay? She's like, yeah, I'm fine. Yeah, I'm fine.
Let's spar. Well, and so she's like mentally going through stuff.
Yeah.
And she just starts like punching and she's going.
Having all these realizations about Tamlin.
Like punching so fast and like all of this torture that she's been putting herself through because she murdered 2 innocent fairies.
Right.
That are kids.
Right.
That she knows kids are so rare and beloved. And, like, her hands turned to fire, and she's like, it should have been me. So she was basically just like, I should have just killed myself. Yeah. Like, why was I brought back to life when those fairies weren't? She burns through Cassian's, like, punching gloves because her hands are fire. And all of a sudden, it's just darkness. Mm-hmm. Darkness goes all around. And she realizes Rhys has her in his wings and just has like starlight everywhere around them. And he's like, don't ever say that. Like he's looking at her face and he's like, it shouldn't have been you. Like you are worthy of being here and being alive.
Well, and he kind of talks to her about how this is part of war. It sucks. Like Cassian throws up after he has to go through a battle and stuff like that. Like you don't like having to do this, and that's normal. Yeah. That's part of it.
Yeah. And don't forget that.
Yeah.
Like
you're a warrior, Feyre.
Well, and it's like, you have to kill somebody sometimes as warriors.
Yeah.
And it's okay to feel bad about it.
Yeah. It's okay to mourn.
Yeah, it's okay to do that. But I think it's also funny that you hear Cassian and Azriel like fighting in the background. Like they're like, I'm still training, and it's like darkness, and they're like, oh, we'll just train in the dark. Good practice. But like
when
every
Feyre
time
and Rhys come out of their dark room.
But every time like something interesting is going on in the conversation, you hear them just like pause a little bit. Or like if she says something like jerky back to him, you hear like a little chuckle.
I imagine in my head, have you seen that video where people are like me, not eavesdropping on my neighbors, and it's like they're dusting a tree, like listening, or like vacuuming the front lawn, like pretending they're doing something. That's Cassian and Azriel. Like, don't look at us. We're just fighting. Whoa, wait.
Clink, clink, clink.
What do you say? Huh?
Yeah. So, interesting dynamic, but this is the first time I feel like Rhys, I don't know, he was very forward with the, like, I care about you. Like,
protective.
Very, yes.
Yeah.
But not Tamlin protective. Okay, I'm sorry.
That's psychotic.
Okay. So they get a letter. The summer court will accept them.
They're down.
Now it's like, who goes? Okay. Mm-hmm. And Cassian's like, I call shotgun.
They're like, no, dude.
No, you broke a building last time. You are forever forbade from going to the summer court. We will not bring you.
Stay here. You're keeping the city safe. You're
and
fine.
They're like, and Azriel has a day job, so he's got to actually work.
He's got to go to the human realm and kind of figure out what the hell's going on.
So it's going to be me, Feyre, and Amren. Cassian's like, but what if you need help or protected? And he's like, then Amren can kill everybody.
Yeah, Amren. Like, that's why I'm bringing Amren.
Yeah.
Duh.
Amren's the person. So they visit the summer court, which again, politically is interesting because the summer court shares borders with the spring court.
Yes.
And we already know stuff's happening, like they're securing borders and stuff.
Feyre just sent her letter.
And she sent a very ambiguous letter.
Yeah.
Again, she thinks she is very clear.
Did you write the letter? Did you?
Does he know my handwriting? Oh, wait, when I was with him, I couldn't write. Like,
he didn't care.
And I didn't sign my name again.
Okay. You with Tamlin.
I'm so sorry.
You're going to have to go through therapy.
I really might. Okay. So they arrive at the summer court.
Mm-hmm. So they meet right away. Tarquin.
Yes.
Who's the High Lord.
Yes.
Cressida, who's the princess. And then her brother, Varian, who is the prince. And they oversee the city in different ways.
And Varian is like mean mugging Amren hard.
Like shadowing her.
Yeah, just like...
I'm security and you are a threat, ma'am.
Exactly. And Tarquin, if you remember, is the person that was like relieved when...
Under the mountain.
He was part of some sort of plot and got saved. And so Tarquin like feels like looks much better. She talks about how, all his years under the mountain made him so pale. He's bright and glistening. And she notices that the entire area around them is like heavy construction.
Right.
And so it also like Valeris would have looked like this.
Yeah.
Like, that's
they're
sad.
rebuilding after Amarantha.
We also learn from Cressida. We find out from her that according to law, if they're betrothed, then she is technically Tamlin's property, and they could start a war by not returning her to Tamlin.
Yeah.
Which is very like, darn it, like I thought we got rid of all this when we were over at the Court of Dreams.
But Feyre handled it well. She's like, there will be no internal war.
Yes.
I left on my own accord. Tamlin is aware of that. He's not going to battle.
But it did feel very much like a threat.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Like, I'll snitch on you, bitch.
Oh, yeah.
Don't try nothing. Because I'm going to go get Tam, and by law, he can take your ass back.
Yes. And so there's, like, some snarky comments, and Tarquin, so he's like, come on in, let's all sit down, and let's eat.
What do you want to talk about? Why you writing me letters, dude?
What's up, man? And so Rhys talks about the impending war. Mm-hmm. And Tarquin, like, immediately is like, I don't want to go to war. I mean, we're still building a city here. Mm-hmm. But I agree with you. We need to stop this. The King of Highburn can't do this.
In the last war, and we'll do it again.
Yeah, I can do this. And so that's amazing news. At the end of it, though, they're still, like, thinking in their heads, like, but we're also going to steal some books, by the way, or half books.
But show us to our room, let us freshen up.
Let's do this. And so, you can see that Tarquin is a good guy. Mm-hmm. You can see that he wants an alliance and a friendship. You can also see how bad Feyre feels about it.
Right.
She's like, let's just tell him the truth.
Well, no, Rhys comes and he's like, hey, by the way, knock, knock on your door. And she's like, I kind of like him. And Rhys is like, I kind of like him too.
Yes.
And they're like, she's like, just ask him for the book. And he's like, I can't because of this and that. And I'll be honest with you, I think Rhys had a good argument.
Yes.
At this point, I was like, yeah, you're right. You can't risk it. You can't risk it.
Yeah.
Can't risk it. But Rhys is like, so now your mission, like, get the book, but like, do it in a way that they don't hate us.
Well,
kind of don't fuck this up, Feyre.
He was also being like, you can sleep with him if you want.
He did say that.
And she's like, yeah.
Maybe I will.
I will sleep with him. And it's like, wait, what is you doing? And that wasn't the first time. He was being like, well, maybe
Cassian. He did that with Cassian. Yeah, before.
So it's interesting that he keeps throwing men at her.
Well, I mean,
this one feels almost like
jealousy much. Like, oh, you want to? Do you though?
If you want to.
If you don't, I'm down if you're down.
So, they are having dinner. Mm-hmm. Tarquin is talking about his dream of having like a world where Lesser Fae and High Fae can live together.
Yeah.
And Feyre noticed like you can't see any Lesser Fae anywhere. And he told her that Lesser Fae can't be visible to High Fae in the Summer Court. That's just the rules.
Yeah.
And she's, again, just like the Tithe in the first book,
yeah,
was like, why are you still following these stupid rules?
Yeah, you're the boss now.
Yeah. And so he definitely opens up about his dream of a better world. And she actually looks up at him and smiles, like this glowing smile. And he's like, what are you thinking? And she's like, I'm thinking it would be really easy to fall in love with you and even easier to be your friend.
Yeah.
And he was like,
what a wonderful thing to say to somebody.
I know.
If someone said that to me, I'd be like,
either. I'll take both.
Oh my gosh. You are now a part of my life in some way, shape, or form.
It was very
nice.
It was a touching moment, and I was kind of
but
like...
you also feel that with Tarquin. He is very warm and inviting and genuine. Yes. That's all I oozed from him.
But I will also say, first Tamlin, then she's staying, like, shacking up with Rhys, and now Tarquin, like...
Yeah.
3 out of 7. No, I'm kidding. I know she's not.
She is a piece of every High Lord, Marissa.
True.
So and
all of the High Lords think that they could get it. So,
so then she's like, "Wait a minute. I forgot. I'm on a mission."
Yes.
So where do you guys like keep your like cool shit?
Can we like go to like a treasure trove?
Where would somebody? I mean, and FYI, it's not because I want anything. My dad was a merchant.
Yeah,
I just kind of know jewels.
Yes.
So.
And Tarquin walked straight into that trap and was like, "Bet."
I mean, they are known for having a bunch of treasures and jewels and things like that. But he's like, "Yeah, I'll show you. I'll take it for sure."
Oh yeah,
it's a date.
Yeah, and so they're hanging out, and I will say, Rhys like, was ignoring Feyre, like, most of the night when they were hanging out.
The whole time she's having this great conversation with Tarquin, which she's really connected. She wasn't playing it up at all.
No, she was
keeps
enjoying
seeing,
herself.
like, he still hasn't looked at me, and I look good tonight.
Well, and he was just, like, flirting hard with Cressida.
I mean, I do think Cressida. I don't know. Cressida might be it.
Cressida.
Let's just call her something different every other time. Cress was actually landed on pretty thick.
Yeah. And so, like, she is...
But they looked like they had a history. That's what Feyre was describing.
She was super jealous super jealous.
Oh,
But then she felt really bad for being jealous because, first of all, she has no right to anything with him because they haven't done anything.
Right.
But also, she was engaged not 2 months ago.
She left him at the altar, essentially. But yes.
So she's got a lot of things going, and she's doing a very good job of carrying on this engaging conversation with Tarquin while all that's flowing in her head.
Yeah.
She goes back. She skips breakfast the next morning. Is like,
so mad. I'm so mad.
I don't want to see her dirty face coming out of his room.
And I don't want to see him either.
No way. And so, like, she comes walking up, ready for her tour, and, like, won't even make eye contact with Rhys.
I know.
Like, I just pictured her doing it so awkward.
Me too.
Like, he would, like, walk, like, into her vision, and she would, like, purposefully, like, put her head to the side. Like, that's just what was going through my head. But I loved it.
Yeah.
And so she sways off looking gorgeous with Tarquin, and Rhys just stands there watching him walk away.
Yep.
And she looks through all of his troves and, like, jewels, everything. And, like, they come to this room with, like, beautiful, like, necklaces. And there's this one that is, like, a black diamond necklace
and pearls, I think.
That is not the bright summer court. And Tarquin was just like, here, take it. And she's like, I'm not here to take your jewelry. I'm here to take a book. No, she did not tell him that.
No, but she did think right away.
Did.
This is the time to ask him for the book instead.
But he is like, this would be perfect. This is for not laughing at the idea of making equality within my area.
She's like, you don't have to pay me for that.
Yeah, like, that was just normal human nature.
I feel like you're used to paying for things.
Yes. So, but she does definitely take that and run with it. And she wears it that night.
She did.
And Varian...
I like how Cressida was like, it fits better than I court anyway.
Yeah, like, but Varian would just, like, spit out his food when he saw it because it was his mom's heirloom or something like that. So it's
Did you just re-gift something?
Tarquin, kind of a jerk move. That was my family's. But whatever. So again, they go through the night with this, like, Feyre can't concentrate because she's so mad with rage. And so that night, she goes to bed early and is like, I just am too faint with all of these jewels to do anything. and she goes back to bed, and Rhys, like, comes to her bedroom and lashes out about the necklace.
She said she could have Tarquin wrapped around her finger, and she, like, threw the necklace down, and he's like, I can get you a necklace if you want. I thought you realized all the clothes you're wearing right now came from me. That's what he said.
Oh, yeah. That is snarky.
Yeah. And I will say, I was like,
well, like, oh, burn.
Yeah.
Like, that's harsh, man.
You told her you'd keep her safe. Clothing is part of that.
Okay, now you sound a little bit like Sugar Daddy. So, taking it back, it is fancy clothes and jewels and stuff. But I feel like he kind of threw it in her face. Like, what was she supposed to do?
Well, and so then she goes, how about you sleeping with, what's her face, Miss Crass?
Like, whatever.
We're going to go tit for tat. Let's go tit for tat.
And he was like, we did not.
Yeah.
She wanted to. I walked her to her room. We did not even
We didn't do anything.
Kiss lips.
I heard you tell Tarquin that he would be easy to fall in love with. And then that's when Rhys busted out, and I know I'm not.
I'm not that person.
I know. And as soon as he said that, I was like, oh, he's so jealous. So you go from, oh my God, he's jealous, to like, oh, he's jealous.
You know the difference there? vulnerability.
Yes. Well,
For any of you boys listening, that can turn like that with vulnerability.
Vulnerability. And it did. And he also admitted in that point that he saved Tarquin under the mountain because he had heard he wanted equality.
Yeah.
And here his two best boys are bastard born. He wants equality too. They hate
Lesser Fae. They're lesser Fae.
They're lesser Fae.
Bastard born lesser Fae.
Right.
And they are the general and
again,
spy
we don't
master.
even talk about the connection there that he already was on that path. He already thought Tarquin was a good person and saved him because of that alone. It was just kind of in passing. Yeah. And then I love their little toast that they do at the end when Feyre was like, okay, I'm just going to stop this fight right now.
Oops.
This is a little ridiculous. And she just goes to the people who look at the stars and wish. And Rhys says to the stars who listen and the dreams that are answered.
The Court of Dreams.
The Court of Dreams.
Now let's go steal shit.
Heist.
So now Rhys is just like playing delay. Like, okay, let's plan this war that we know is going to happen. We have to have this conversation anyway, but let's do it very long-winded.
Let's take some time so Feyre can go find this book.
Yes, so she goes everywhere. She goes on the docks. She goes up and down everywhere. And finally, at night, she goes for a walk and she sees at low tide, there's this little temple.
She was higher, so you wouldn't ever be able to see it unless she was above on the balcony at high tide or low tide, whatever it was. And it was like this temple and it was calling to her.
Yes. And she's like, oh, shoot.
That's
Maybe that's it.
That's where it be.
And so they all go sit down to dinner and she doesn't tell anybody, but she's like high speculation.
Yeah.
And so she's just like nonchalant playing with her black diamonds that were just given to her. And she's just like, I saw a little like temple or building down there. What was that? And immediately she sees Cressida get all tense. And
look at each other.
She sees Tarquin get a little tense. And he's like, oh, nothing, nothing there.
Oh, we've been meaning to, it's a ruined temple.
Yeah, it's nothing to see there. And he does not play it off well at all.
No.
But she also knows, oh, I stepped in something there.
Yeah.
I need to fix it. And so she goes purposefully into Tarquin's mind.
Mm-hmm. I loved how she tricked Tarquin's shield the same way she tricked Rhys's shield and didn't really realize it.
Where she was just like, I am Tarquin.
I'm you.
I'm you.
Let me in.
Yeah.
Bro.
I already live here, man.
We're fam. We're fam.
And she deliberately changes his thoughts. She hears his thoughts like, why is she asking this? Are they trying to do something? Are they really here to be friends?
She's your friend.
She's great.
She's calm.
She's just traumatized from under the mountain. Yeah. It's cool.
You saw her do all these great things. Yes. She's your friend. She agrees with you.
And then she slowly slips out
and
sits down and immediately feels like, oh,
But then she just casually was like, oh, no, I don't want to do that then. Let's just go to the mainland.
Yeah. So that night, she talks to Rhys and was like, okay, first of all, I know where the book is.
Yeah.
Second of all, did you see what I did to Tarquin?
Yeah.
And he's like, yes, I did. But if you wouldn't have done it, I wouldn't have been able to do, because we found out that he was also doing the similar thing to Cressida and Varian. Mm-hmm. And so Feyre was like, I kind of feel bad about it. Like, do you feel bad? And he's like, everybody has to draw their boundary wherever it is.
Yeah.
And she's like, I think my boundary is not doing that again.
Yeah.
And he's like, okay. Which I feel like most people would be like, no, man, that's your job. You're part of the court.
Yeah.
Like, do your job.
I see it though, because like where do you stop? And it's also, where do you trust yourself? And
yes.
So I kind of heard like, maybe I just don't trust myself right now with this ability. Like, let's work on some other stuff. Maybe be able to fly, maybe be able to winnow more consistently. And then we can go into the like altering someone's thoughts and holding their mind.
Yeah.
Maybe that's level like 5 and we're on level 1.5.
So she felt bad about that.
She did.
And then the whole next day, she like does all the things that her and Tarquin promised to do instead of check out the temple.
Wouldn't you be like, oh my gosh.
And she's like, come on already, eat the stupid fish. Finally at night, her, Amren, and Rhys have a plan.
Yeah.
And so Rhys is going to, be lookout. He's going to be circling around. Her and Amren are going to go get the book. Don't trip any alarms. And then they'll just leave a note and say, oh, we woke up early and left.
Yeah, Rhys already slipped that they had to leave early in the morning. So it wouldn't be a big deal if they were, or that they were going to leave that afternoon, I think.
But the big thing is, don't let anybody know, so that way he doesn't know we stole anything, and diplomatic relations are still okay.
Yeah. And maybe we can return the book before they even know.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, I don't think they're ever going to return the book. I doubt it. It's not the Perinthian way.
But then he'll know about the war. Like, he'll be more invested.
You're such a human for thinking that way.
It's like, go save the world. It's Marvel. It's the Marvel way of thinking. Go save the world and then replace it. There was a whole movie based on that, right?
No.
And they just leaped back and put everything back in time.
I just am hearing human. So, Amren and Feyre get dropped in like this sludgy pit because it's like an old ruin, and Feyre's like, it's here. I feel it.
Yeah.
I feel it. And she looks down and she's like, it's under all this dirt.
It's not dirt. You're being very nice. It's sludgy, slimy mud. Because think of like ocean muddy sand.
Yeah.
It's very slimy.
Yeah.
So they're like digging. I see Amren's 5'2" ass and the moon digging.
And so they dig, and they're like, we gotta hurry up because the tide will come in.
Yeah.
And they get to this like vault or door or something, and they're like, okay, how to open it. And Feyre again does the I am Tarquin, and it's just like, come on, trust me.
And she actually shapeshifts.
She turns into him.
Yeah.
And that opens it up. All of a sudden, they just feel this blast of power, and Amren's like, holy cow, if that's what it feels for half of a book, what would the whole cauldron feel like?
Right?
Yeah. So they like climb down into this pit where there's a little bit of water on the floor. They're sloshing around, and they like walk to the end of the hallway, and then there's like this vault. Mm-hmm. And the vault doesn't need any special like I'm Tarquin. So they open it up and they just see it, and it's like loud with magic. Mm-hmm. Like is how I can explain it.
Yeah.
And it's just like whispering to Feyre like, who are you?
Yeah.
Who are you? And she's like, again, doing I am Tarquin.
I am Summer.
I am Tarquin. And all of a sudden, she's like, Amren's like, okay, hurry up. Like, the tide's coming in.
Grab the book.
Like, it's right there, lady. I'm not touching it. And so finally, she's like, I'm Tarquin. And she grabs it. And as soon as she grabs it, the book goes, liar.
I literally went, oh, shit!
And so then the water comes like rushing in because
the
it's
door
high tide.
Shut.
Yes, so she's trying to get out of the door, and the water's flowing in. Amren is holding the door open with her magic, while Feyre is like climbing up. The door above them is locked, so they're like climbing up the ladder. They take a breath, go under. They're drowning. And all of a sudden, the door gets ripped open and both of them get pulled out by a water raft.
I know. I did not see that coming.
I did not either. I thought Amren was going to like explode with power.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
I'm
like there was
going
to be something with Amren and she blew it off. When they said the lid was ripped off, I even thought Rhysand at first. It like blew their cover or whatever, ripped him out. But the water rats.
Well, and she, like when they get up, like Rhys comes down and is like, you guys set over so many alarms. And she's like, where were you? Amren was pissed.
Amren was pissed.
Yeah, she was like, where were you? And then Rhys was like, oh, never mind. It's cool that you set off all those alarms. And like they winnow away. And they like just drop Feyre and Amren and Rhys like in the middle of the lounge area. Mm-hmm. And everybody's sitting there.
Yeah.
And like they're like coughing up like sludgy mess and like drowned. And everybody's looking at them like, what just happened? And Feyre just like picks out the book and just like slams it down and is like, how do you like them apples?
Yeah.
Another reference that will make me look old.
It's a great movie though.
It's a classic.
Yes. I think people have used how you like them apples.
Okay. So a cool reference then. A retro reference.
Yeah. Yes.
So, and then everybody's like still looking at her and Amren's like,
she's like, what the fuck was that? And Feyre tells her the story and she's like, what did she say? She's like, whatever luck you live by, girl. Like, thank the cauldron by it.
Yeah. So, Rhys is like, hey, Feyre, again, can you open this box? We actually need the book inside the box.
Funny thing. It's actually locked.
And by the way, Feyre is saving everybody again. Like,
true story.
Like, she's this box detector.
She's still only 19, even though she's a fae.
Okay. So she, like, is like, oh, and just opens it because she's like, you didn't have to do anything there. Just open the box. Okay, there you go, High Lord. Can't roll up your sleeves.
Yeah.
And so the book comes out and Amren, like, puts our hand over her mouth and goes,
like right away knows.
Yes. It's this ancient language that only Amren knows.
And they call it the Holy Tongue. And I'm going to point that out because I have a conspiracy theory when we get to other parts that I want to relay back.
Okay. So you want to point it out here so you can tell everybody.
The Holy Tongue.
Okay. So that's not a spoiler alert.
It's not.
But
because I just said, just remember the Holy Tongue is what the book is written in. And Amren's the only one who knows it. Okay, go.
Okay. So we're doing that. So Amren like takes the book and like hoards it and just starts trying and was like, okay, I've got to relearn this ancient tongue.
Yeah.
Because it's been so
10,000 years.
It's been so many years.
Yeah.
And nobody's spoken it in that many years.
Right.
And Rhys was like, yeah, sorry about it. I suspected that this was the case.
Okay. This is the second time now that Rhys is like, I kind of already knew that, guys. And it's like, dude.
Can you just tell us in advance? Like, he was like, that's why I had you go, Amren. And she's like, just tell me that's why then.
I didn't want to get your hopes up, girl.
Fair. I mean, but I feel like this happens a lot with you, Rhys. I think this is a trend.
It is. A little bit of shadow work that we got to do there.
Yes.
Okay.
And again, because they did this so shittily.
Yeah. You know what? Wait, pause though.
Yes.
On the shittily part.
Yes.
Rhys told Feyre, don't fuck this up. I still want to be his friend. And then
He fucks it up.
yeah, it wasn't the girls who fucked it up.
Well, I think it's both of them.
Okay, but Rhys could have done his job and wiped the minds of the events from the guards, and he forgot because he's been in such a like uproar because Feyre and Amren were in trouble.
Yes.
So he fucked it up. The shittily,
it was
Rhys. I just want to point that out.
There were good and bad people on both sides.
There are never good and bad people on both sides. No.
So,
yes.
Rhys gets sent these 3 humongous blood red diamonds.
Yeah.
And we find our blood red rubies.
Blood rubies.
Blood rubies. And we find out that is the Summer Court's way of saying
I bite my thumb at you.
This is like a bounty on your head.
Yeah.
There is a bounty on your head.
Yep.
We will kill you.
All 3 of you.
All 3 of you. Mm-hmm. And so Rhys is just like he's in upset. A grumpy mood.
Yeah.
Because he's like I messed up.
Yeah.
I messed up and now there's a bounty on my friends' heads and mine and it just ruins up diplomatic relations.
Yeah.
And Feyre actually comes and is like trying to be like, yeah, but we had to. And just trying to nudge him, being like,
he's not having
we're friends. And he's just like, I'm in
a bad mood. I'm in a bad mood.
I don't want to. And she doesn't stop. And so she's just like, oh, well, what's my salary again? And he's like, you got enough. Yeah. And he's like, and you also can spend money at shops and stuff. And she's like,
oh, shops.
So I saw a little lingerie shop down the street. Should we go shopping? Do you want to go shopping there with me? She's like, we could try stuff on and everything. And you see a little smirk come out of his butt. And
so she gets a little bit out of him, but he's still not, he doesn't really care. And she's like, I bet Tarquin, he would like it. And Rhys calls her bluff and he's like, let's go right now then. Let's go right now and see. Let's go get that. I'll package it right up for him. And then all of a sudden, Azriel comes down onto the balcony. So she goes ahead and leaves and starts oh my God, what just happened?
And then she starts thinking through we could have gone down.
What would have happened if we would have
And she's just picturing it and them saying, hey, we'll leave the bill on the counter and just take what we want. Telling it's steamy in her head and stuff. And all of a sudden she hits her head on the door and just goes, son of a...
No, she goes, prick.
So he put that in her brain.
It's hilarious.
And then, so she's all in a pissy mood. She sits down and tells Moore what happened. And Moore is cracking up, which is just so funny. And after such a shitty day. What a funny way
and then Moore was if it gives you any solace, once he decides to brood, there is no breaking him out of it. And she did break him out of it.
She did.
He's laughing, because he put these little skinky images in her head.
Yeah, he did. So now Amren is just decoding the book.
Yeah.
Their day to day, They are trying not to die by Tarquin. Mm-hmm. They are waiting for the mortal queens to return the call, and they're waiting on Amren to decode the book. And so day in, day out, it's training, it's doing all the things.
Well, then Feyre's like, wants to go visit Amren. She hasn't seen her in forever.
Yeah.
Brings her some blood.
Amren has the blood ruby, like, and she's using it as, like, a bookmark and, like, smirking.
Like a paperweight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's
like, Rhys said you were going to flatten the city if you found out about that, so.
She's like, I would have, but, you know, Varian sent me this necklace to try to make things better.
And I like how Feyre's like, so you and Varian, like, he likes you? And she's like, he can't decide if he wants to kill me or fuck me.
And Feyre's like, sounds mutual.
That's the relationship, I guess. Okay.
Yes.
She just breezes right past that.
Yes. And so one night, Feyre actually wakes up, and there's, like, just darkness everywhere around her.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And so she, like, is like, oh, my God. Is, you know, somebody coming after us? Like, is something wrong?
Well, at first, wasn't she like, is it me? Oh,
yeah.
It's not me.
Okay. Fair. And then she's, like, running out. She's following it. It goes into Rhys's room. Mm-hmm. Turns out Rhys is having, like, this nightmare.
Yeah.
And so she's like, first of all, thank goodness it's not just me. Second of all, like, he is so intense that this nightmare is, and so she's like trying
the whole room.
The whole room is like a pit of darkness, and she's like reaching around trying to find him, finds him in the bed, keeps patting his body.
You guys can't tell Marissa's touching my body.
Not in a weird way.
No.
And so she like wakes up Rhys, and Rhys like has his hand on her throat because he's still
he
like
flips
asleep.
her on the bed.
Yes.
Like, flips her over.
And she's just like, Rhys, it's me.
It's Feyre.
It's Feyre. And he comes out of it and like immediately like puts his hand away.
Yeah.
And was like,
and she goes, oh, you're naked.
Yeah. And like she tries really hard not to look down.
Well, she's like, but it's like a serious event going on, and it is kind of like a sitcom where it's like, holy shit, he's naked. I'm not going to look down though. Yeah. But like I hear, yeah, it's me, Feyre. Yeah, it's me. Yeah. You're not naked. Yeah. It's fine.
Okay. Well, nice none. Yeah. I'll see you later. By the way, when you were kneeling, I might have seen that there were stars on your knees tattooed.
How cool did those tattoos sound?
Also means that she looked down, saw everything on the way down.
I think it was just shadowed.
No, it was face.
It was like a
to
Ken
knee.
doll. It was a Ken doll.
She saw everything face to knee, Nicole. No, you don't.
I did like those mountains, though. The mountains with the stars. I was like, ooh, cool. I felt so bad for Rhys in this event. He sounded so broken.
Yeah.
I wanted to hug him. Not naked. Maybe yes.
So they share this probably very like vulnerable moment with each other.
Yeah.
She sees him full on naked.
Yes.
He's basically already seen her naked because of the shit he made her wear under the mountain that I'm, again, still angry about. I will slowly get over it, I know. But it was a very uncomfortable place to be.
It wasn't his best look.
No.
What would make this not awkward? Let's write a little invisible note.
So she looked head to knees.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay, he's not going to think I looked head to knees when I ask him about this tattoo on his knee.
Let's be inconspicuous and just be like, so what do those mountains and stars mean?
I didn't see your dick, I promise, but what were those stars?
What did those mean within our little invisible noting right there? But yeah, I love how he's like, I will bow before no one or nothing but my crown. And I think she literally writes so dramatic.
Which is exactly what I was thinking too when he said that. But I love that she said it.
I know.
And so they're doing these cutesy notes back and forth. And
yeah, he's like, why won't you paint? And she kind of tells him. And she's like, did you always want to be a High Lord? And he's like, kind of, sort of, yes, but kind of, sort of, no. I don't want to be like my dad. I thought that was fair. So it's really cute. They were getting kind of cutesy there. Yes. We learned a lot.
Well, and it feels like long distance relationship.
It did. It did. With magic.
Whereas, like, when you just text back and forth because you can't see each other every day.
I would so much rather have an invisible note and with a pen.
Well, I like texting.
It's so much more convenient.
Well, and is there like a read receipt on one of those things? Because I don't like those.
I like the drama. What if their letter does the bubbles? Like Rhys is writing, then he stops. Then he's writing, then he stops. Because there were times where she's like, I waited forever, and he did it, and then it popped up.
I got frustrated, so I threw the paper in the fire.
In the fire.
Okay,
Fuck your paper.
So then the last flirty note was, hey, no training tomorrow. We're going to go see the queens.
Bum, bum, bum.
And that is where we'll pick up on the next episode.
Yeah, I think this is a good stopping point, right?
Yes. So, tell me how you feel.
Oh, that is complicated. Again, I feel like this was like heist after heist after heist. This is probably the most fun I've had. Like, it's getting fun. Yeah. The things that they're doing, and it's like adventure with this like beautiful like friendship and family and togetherness starting for Feyre. So I feel like you're really feeling her like healing a lot in this, but it's like fun.
Yeah. So me personally, I wish the healing would have been about 200 pages shorter. No, I loved all of the things that happened. I fundamentally don't appreciate as much of the like day-to-day stuff. Like, yeah. And I know I said it at the beginning, but it was one of those things where like I think you were waiting a long time for me to finish this book because I just got caught in this middle where I like would pick it up and then fall asleep and pick it up. Yeah, and it wasn't because it was boring. It was just because I don't like the flowery like
monotony of
this. Like I walked and I saw the rainbow court and it's like, yeah, but are you ever really just going to paint ever again? Like, your life is so different now.
Do I have to keep hearing about
it? Are you really going to own a shop someday and paint? Like,
let Feyre heal on her time.
I agree. Okay. I know I'm irrational about it, but I just wish there was markings on the pages so I could have just skipped them.
Right? The next time you read it. That's actually not a bad idea.
No.
Skip forward. Okay. Who is your favorite character right now?
Oof. I think Rhys.
Yeah?
I think Rhysand is my favorite character.
Just because you've learned so much about him? Or
I'm intrigued by him. Maybe it's not favorite. It's the one I want to know more about the most. You're like, I want his backstory.
Yeah.
I want to know everything about why he is who he is. There's 500 years plus to dive in there.
Yeah.
But can you do it in less than 200 pages? No, I'm kidding. I think I'm very intrigued by him. I think the one that makes me chuckle the most is Cassian.
Definitely. Mm-hmm. Definitely. And I really like Moore. I feel like she's like perfect for different scenarios.
How much better is she as like the best friend than Ianthe?
I feel like everybody here is like so-and-so 2.0.
Oh, so Ianthe, we find out why Rhys doesn't like her and why she's kind of scared of Rhys.
Yeah. Little manipulative, like, ugh.
Like, she was just, like, in his bed naked and was like, don't you want to breed with me?
This was another time that he let Feyre in his mind.
Yeah.
Right? So it was another, like, let you see. And she sees how disgusted he is with her and how she just keeps trying. And then he, Sons of Anarchies her, basically. Like, tosses her around a little bit.
Well, like, crumples her fingers as she's trying to grab his junk. Yeah. Which, like,
don't touch people.
Sexual harassment. Yes. That's sexual assault. So
keep our hands to ourselves,
unless consented.
Well, yeah. But there was obviously not consent.
So he, like, mangles her hand and everything. But she, like,
throws her in the hall with her clothes on top of it. I just saw, like, oh!
I pictured the Run DMC. What is that?
Yes.
I was like, oh, that's maybe that's where they got it.
That's way better. Way better.
So it was one of those things where I was like, oh, like Moore is like a true friend that cares about her feelings. Like, Ianthe was just in it for herself.
Yeah.
Like it was, and I got like kind of worried again about Lucien because we saw like Ianthe was like kept being like, so what's going on with Lucien?
Yeah. Feyre is a pawn in the Spring Court, like a piece that they play, and she is a part of the team in the Night Court.
Yeah.
And I will say, to what you said about Lucien, I think Lucien is also like a pawn.
A pawn. He's a pawn.
Yeah.
I don't think he's Tamlin's, like, friend. I think he thinks he's Tamlin's friend. I don't think Tamlin thinks of him like that.
Ooh, that's some shadow work right there for Lucian.
Yes.
Ain't that the truth?
Yes. Isn't that sad?
It
With
is.
Lucian's backstory.
Yeah.
See, this is why we
need a Lucian redemption arc, man.
I wish there was, like, a chapter of, like, hey, here's a sneak peek of what's happening in the spring court. Instead of just, like, a reference of, like, they're securing their borders. I understand why the book did that, but I need to know if Lucian's okay.
You need a distance from Tamlin.
Agreed.
And you
I'm
know
really
it.
angry at him.
You know you need the distance. This is the distance you need.
Do you think next episode I'll be ready?
I don't know. He really hurt you.
He hurt me deep.
All right. Speaking of the next section, we are going to be finishing A Court of Mist and Fury. So thank you for joining us as we talked about the middle part of Court of Mist and Fury. Watch out for our next episode, and please follow Hightails with Lit Sisters on Instagram, YouTube, and subscribe where you listen to podcasts. Thank you for talking Hightails with your favorite Lit Sisters.
Woo!